I'm very excited to share with you this next guest. You may or may not know who he is, and that's irrelevant. He is a fine example of a superb human being. And I actually mean that, truly. It's his titanium moral fabric that is remarkable, and his respect for his family, noteworthy. He's an undercover philanthropist, and I wished for that not to be a secret. And he's a positive influencer. His name is Dougie Fresh. He is the creator of the beatbox, and I would love to give you an example of what that is, but I'm not going to. He grew up in Harlem, and he made his first million by the age 17, and he's influenced many people. He played with Prince for about 10 years, influenced Michael Jackson and MC Hammer, and just tons and tons of different artists, and he's collaborated with a lot of people. Even if you took his talent away, I would still give him the same introduction. From this interview, you'll see the choices that he makes and how he really cares about people. And in the next interview after this one, we'll look into all the philanthropy that he's doing and how he cares about kids and people and where he's from, which is Harlem. This interview is done by BET's Stephen Hill, Black Entertainment Television, the president of programming. And he's pretty entertaining too. So regardless if you know who he is or not, or know this music, it's definitely worth a watch. Meet Dougie Fresh.
Everyone having a good time so far? Woo! Good. We're going to try to keep that good time going with one of the originators, one of the pioneers of hip-hop. Certainly, as we'll talk about, people say there's 4 elements to hip-hop. I was getting this wrong. Graffiti, MCing, DJing, and breakdancing, but I would like to believe that there is a 5th element, which is the human beatbox, and no one does it. Woo! No one does it like the man who originated it, and who we're going to talk to today, ladies and gentlemen, Doug E. Fresh! It's good to see you. We have spent many a time on the high seas, my friend.
Long time. How y'all feeling?
Good. Wow.
First of all, I want to call out how selfish Mr. Fresh is, because clearly he has found the fountain of youth and refused to tell all of us about it. So keep it to yourself if you choose to, my man. You were there at the beginning. You were there in New York when hip-hop popped off.
Yes.
Take us through your first memories of it, what it was like at the beginning for you.
Okay. At the beginning, obviously, before hip-hop became real to me, I come from a West Indian family. My family's from Barbados, my family's from Trinidad. Yay! You know what I'm saying? And music was constant in the house. Yes. So, music programs were being cut in school. They cut music programs. I used to play the trumpet. Woo! I used to have to take the mouthpiece, and it's like you had to learn how to use it, and I would play percussions. And I would walk home and I would hear different songs that came out, and kids would rhyme in the school, or we would do poetry, because Langston Hughes was somebody that we really appreciated. I mean, his poems were just unbelievable. So it was kind of like when hip hop started, for me it was something that my sister came home and told me about. My brother came home, my sister came home and said, hip hop, So I was like, how you do that? Where you get that from? And then, my brother would have a cassette tape, and I would listen to it, and then I heard guys like DJ Hollywood. I heard him on tapes. I heard Lovebug Starsky on tapes. I heard Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 on tapes. And there was a guy named Bobby Robinson, who was one of the original labels that started hip-hop. And it was a label called Enjoy Records. And I believe Gladys Knight did a record with him too, on his label. And And Enjoy Records was right up the block on 125th Street in Harlem. So I would walk by and I would hear this music all the time, because you know old school record shops used to have a speaker right outside. And you gonna buy this record, you gonna listen to it, you gonna sing it, and you gonna pick it up later. So I would go by the record shop and listen to it, and it just started to become, you know, just something that was magnetic. It just felt like I was drawn to it. You know, my father used to help groups move equipment, because back in the days they would have block parties, and in hip hop it was called jams. You know, where they would just go outside, set up the equipment in a schoolyard, plug in the equipment to the light post. Nobody was an electrician. I do not know why nobody ever got electrocuted. But it was crazy. I was like, you messing around with that? So they would hook it up, and you know, I would go out there and I would just learn. I mean, you know, I was just moved by the experience. It was fascinating.
I want to go back. What got you to the trumpet? I think that's something I didn't know. What got you to the trumpet when you were younger?
You know, it's funny because I got a teacher. His name is Brother Lee, and I just recently I seen him maybe like a year or two ago, because when they cut the music programs in the school, you know, like what he used to do is Brother Lee would go out of the music class and he would come in and say, pick an instrument y'all want to play. So I told him I want to play the percussions. And he was like, yeah, that's cool, but I want you to play the trumpet, because he played the trumpet, you know what I mean? And I said, so he said, the percussions is cool. You can't really take the congas home, but you could take, you know, so they would give you the trumpet, you go there, gotta sterilize the mouthpiece, and it was crazy. So you would go home and you would practice blowing, and I don't know if you ever...
Just the mouthpiece.
Right, but no, you first go with the mouthpiece, then you graduate to where he could trust you, and then you get the trumpet. Like, you gonna bring this trumpet back? So I would go there and I would just be practicing. I mean, it was the hardest. I mean, I got good at it, but have anybody ever played the trumpet in here? Am I telling the truth? I mean, it's like you gotta know. I mean, it's a skill, because you're not just blowing into it. It's a vibration you creating that has to go through it. So it's like I kept doing this thing, and then I come back, and then he would leave the music class, and so me and my friends would get together. I said, you jump on the piano, I'm gonna put this trumpet down, you go over there and jump on the drums, and let's do this. So I would try to make up stuff, and when he come back into class, I say, Brother Lee, I know you got me playing the trumpet, but I got something that I want you to hear. And it was hip hop, like, cause I heard it, you know what I mean? So I would get on the percussions, the guy would play a couple of notes on the piano, and the drummer, and he would listen, he'll go, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Okay, now let's get back to business now. Let's get back to business. Because he was a serious jazz musician. So he didn't care about no hip hop. And I'm telling you, Brother Lee, this is it. So he was like, yeah, okay. So that's kind of like the way I started to see that there was more to this than just, you know, playing the trumpet.
Yeah. And what you've laid out is kind of like the generation gap that kind of existed between those people who were on the cutting edge like you were of hip hop and the new thing, and the youth coming up, and old folks, not old folks, but like more mature folks at that time who were like, music has to have a melody,
right,
and a beat. But what you've been able to do, I think, in your career is take an element of that and make your music really musical as well.
Right. But see, I think Brother Lee, which I believe now too, Stephen, I really believe that musicians like Brother Lee are so important to hip hop artists, because they keep the integrity in the music, and they give you things that you could never do by yourself. It's about the collaboration. I just did 2 new songs with Kanye West maybe 3 days ago. I get a call on the phone. You know, it was a snowstorm in New York. I was just telling Steven, I was in Oakland. I left Oakland, flew through Phoenix, went to DC because I had to do a show for the ambassador of Dubai.
Wow.
The guy's guest list was unreal. He had the president of the CIA coming to the party. The guy who ran the FBI a year ago. I'm like, this is a crazy guest list. So, so it was like this party, but it snowed, so the party got canceled. But I came in and then I had another show for somebody in Connecticut. And when I went to Connecticut, we got snowed in. So and that show was for some guy. I'm just telling you, it's very interesting, this entertainment thing. This guy controls the money for the Rothschilds. You know the Rothschilds. You know, I know you know.
It's a lot of money right there. It's a lot of money right there.
Old money. So I'm up there, and this guy spends like $250,000 to do a birthday party for himself, and he was fascinated with MTV, so his name was Neil, so he built the whole MTV set, the screens, everything on MTV. He pushed it crazy, and he called it NTV.
Wow.
Yo, NTV. So then they had Grandmaster Flash, Grandmaster Melly Mel up there, Houdini, and a lot of the other groups, Sugar Hill Gang. So we was doing a special party for him. So long story short, I get a call. Kanye West wants me to do this thing, a beatbox thing on his new album. His new album was very interesting, and it was. I'm saying this to say this. When I went there was this guy named Mike Dean, who's a serious musician. This guy goes back to a label called Rap-A-Lot Records. And Rap-A-Lot Records, if you remember Rap-A-Lot Records, a lot of their music from back then was real music. I mean, when, the Ghetto Boys and all that, that's, So I was just surprised that Kanye had this guy in there with him. And it showed me that he was smart enough to know that what he does, he do. But having real musicians that can really play, that can really incorporate themselves and get the ideas out is what it's all about, because that's what the music need. So when I was making music on my albums coming out, Brother Lee taught me that. You see what I'm saying? Because he's a real musician. And then I remember when my records came out, he didn't know it was me. And then one day I found out, I found him through, and this was before Facebook and all of that. I found him through somebody saying that it was me, and he called me and he said, "Hey man, when you was in there making that music, playing around in that room, maybe I should have listened to you a little bit." I said, no, man. No, you ain't see it. I said, I tried to tell you, though. I tried to tell you. And then I was playing at Madison Square Garden, so I asked him, I said, Brother Lee, would you honor me with playing with me at Madison Square Garden? That would make a big thing for me. You know what I mean? So, it's just when you deal with artists, and whether they come from jazz, blues, wherever, it's just about the integration of music and the respect of the music, and not to separate it, because it all works together. That's my opinion.
So, play the trumpet. I'm fascinated by the trumpet thing mostly because I have no idea what the answer to this question is. It seems like your preparation for playing the trumpet would help you in your mouth movement for the human beatbox.
I think it actually did. I think it, because the other thing is that I lived on the east side. I lived on the west side. My school was on the east side. So I would have to walk to school if you don't catch that bus. So I would walk straight across, and then the speakers was outside. So every day that I would walk to school or walk from school, I would hear certain songs. And then when I hear the songs, I would remember the melody of the song. So I would take the melody and kind of do the melody, and then I say when I come back, I'm gonna be able to put the melody with the beat. And then I'll go back again, and it would kind of like be a challenge. So I'll say I'm gonna put the melody I'm gonna put the beat, I'm gonna put the hi-hat, I'm gonna put the horns, I'm gonna put this, and it got to a point where I was doing 8, 9 things at the same damn time. And I was going, you know, like, cause the beatbox is not something that you think about, it's something, it's spiritual. You know, you're basically just, you're basically sending energy. You're sending energy as you're getting it, and you're not thinking about it. It's kind of like driving. If you think about driving, it's hard to drive. When you really drive, you just drive, right? You know, but when you're like, I gotta make a run. Oh man, and you know, everything is too. So right. So the beatbox came because I'm walking back and forth. And you know, I never really put those together. It's kind of like, it's interesting. So I think that, because when you do the beatbox, it's all in here. You know, I'm using parts of this that I ain't even know you could really use, man. You know what I mean? So when you're doing it, this all becomes kind of strong. And when you blow in a trumpet, it makes that strong, because it's like exercising muscles that you normally would not use. Very interesting. Just like I don't know how I made that up. You know, and then there lady what's the lady who Miriam Makeba. They was from a tribe called the Clicks, and they would talk like this. You know, and they have this little, yeah, and they were talking, and I was saying, damn, maybe I'm from that tribe. Cause you know, I mean, we gotta have a conversation on that. You know, so I think some things are just spiritual, and sometimes you can't even find out why you connect to them. They just evolve as you go along. So instead of me trying to figure it out, I just went with it.
All right, let's skip to, you know, what everyone wants to talk about. Was it, 85 was the show? 85, 86?
85 was the show.
Here's what I want to know. How you going to a label like, look, I want to make a record. What do you do? Sing? Nope. What do you do? Rap? Nope. What do you do? And then you do that. Then you show them. Cause like, how do you get a deal? Like doing the beatbox? You know, that's kind of a serious question. Like,
right.
Not rap, not sing.
No. Well, good question. See, the beatbox is I'm answering in two ways. The beatbox is the fifth element in hip hop. Now, the reason why the beatbox is the fifth element, because it's basically the spirit. It's the natural music of the individual, of the soul. You know, it's just like singing, but it's even deeper with percussion and tone. You know, now in hip hop, when I grew up, everybody had to have a style. Every individual had to have their own unique style, or you would be called a biter.
Yeah.
And oh my God, that was the worst.
The worst thing to be called.
That was the worst thing.
Yeah.
See, nowadays there should be some people called biters, because that's how you would control creativity.
Yeah.
Because it makes you have to become more creative instead of just taking that person's idea or taking that one or following this other one. Because in music now, some people are just making songs that they really don't want to make, but they just doing it because they seen you win doing it. So they just trying to do what you do. But it's not as much integrity in it when you have to kind of dig in yourself and be yourself. Figure out what you do. So when I created the beatbox, I also was someone who rhymed very well. Like I learned how to rhyme from people like studying Melly Mel, Grandmaster Caz, Kumo D. These guys were very influential to me in rhyming. When it comes to crowd participation and knowing how to engage, I learned that from Hollywood. I learned that from Love Bug. I learned that from a guy named Busy B, and I really studied that. But then also there was nobody dancing in hip hop. Because it was all about, y'all remember rappers used to stand there like this? I was like, why y'all, come on, what happened, baby? You gotta get into this. So I'm from Harlem. At Harlem, you will dance. It's a part of Harlem. It just come with it. You ain't standing around. So we threw that in there. So when I was putting the records together, it was a combination of the rhymes, the crowd participation, you know, the celebration, which was the dance, and then the twist was the beatbox. And I really wouldn't have done that if the guy who's with me right now didn't tell me. Barry B said, because when we would be practicing, we would stop and he would change records and I would wait for a minute, and when I'm waiting, I go, I would just be, and he'll be like, and he'd be like, what's that you doing? And I said, I don't know, man. I'm just, you know, I'm just waiting for you to change the record. And then, so it would go on, and he'd say, yo, that's really interesting what you're doing, man. He said, yo, you know what? You should do that outside. You should call that the human beatbox. He said, you should call it. I said, man, I'm not doing that. He said, I'm telling, yo, so-and-so, come in there. He came in the room. Yo, do that again. Then he'll go, yo, that's crazy. Yo, do it outside, I'm telling you. I did it outside, boom, boom. I would not have thought about doing it. Because I was just doing it.
Right.
You know how like you doing something naturally, you ain't thinking about it, and then your friends say, yo, you know what? If you put this with that, and you're just listening, you know what I mean? It's your boy. So when he said that, then that's what it did. So what I did is I started doing shows. So I started making money from doing shows, because in hip hop, you learned how to do a performance before you learned how to make a record. You see, because the art form was so pure that when you do a show, that's what the people wanted to see. And then so people would call me for shows, and I would take all my money and put it together. And then I went in there and I produced the show, Lottie Dottie, with me and Rick. And then when I took and made the record, I took it around to different labels, and they listened to it. They said, what is this? Oh my God, no, I'm not letting that out. Who's that guy? And what's that noise you making? Oh no possible way. No possible way. So then I ran into a person who's as crazy as me. He took it to another guy. The guy said, okay, you know what? Because he trusted this guy. He said, yo, you like that? He said, yeah. He said, okay, I'll let it out, because he had a distribution company. He let it out, and I did a deal with him. I said, if I do the deal, because I paid for these records, I made them myself.
You brought them to him fully done.
I brought them to him fully done. So I said, these records, I don't mind bringing you in to be a part of this, but this ain't gonna be no regular record deal that you giving everybody, because I made this. So he said, all right, what you want? I said, I need to own the masters, and I need to own the publishing. He said, it's a true story. This is a true story. And because I was in the record shop every day, and I would hear about Marvin Gaye sleeping in the back of a truck. This one getting jerked. Enjoy Records and the other guys running around chasing this dude for their money. So I was like, oh no, this ain't it. We ain't gonna do that. So I said, what we gonna do? He said, all right, I'll tell you what. He said, I'll give you all of the publishing. I'll split it with you, and I'll give you all your money back, and I'll split the masters with you. I said, okay, I don't have a problem. So from that one record all the way through to any record that I've ever made, I own 100% of the publishing, and I own the masters as well. Which at that time was very shocking, because artists didn't get that. And the other thing is that he took a shot with me, so I was willing to take a shot with him. And I told him my philosophy is very simple. I said, I have no problems with you winning as long as I'm not losing. Y'all remember that? I have no problems with you winning as long as I'm not losing.
Yo, you approach the business and that's one of the things about hip hop. Hip hop, I think, is a generation that understood the challenges that happen, especially around ownership, around owning your publishing, around owning your masters, and has been an industry that's made a lot of frankly black millionaires because they understood the power of that. And you were one of the early ones. Smart cat.
I made $1 million at 17 years old.
Wow.
You know, I ain't gonna lie to you, Steve. But I didn't even know honestly, I didn't even know I made that much. I was just coming in there giving the money to my mother. Here, Mom, put that in the closet. Put that in the closet. We had teamwork going. I'm on the road. I'm coming back. Here, put that in the closet. But it got to the point the closet got so full. The closet was so full. She said, look. We can't put no more in the closet. We gotta go and open up something at Merrill Lynch. So we went down there with some bags. I said, why we gotta go to Merrill Lynch, Mom? I don't trust them, I trust you. So we opened it up, and then that was the beginning. But I really didn't know, and I really didn't understand it because I wasn't doing the music to make the money. And it wasn't about the ego of ownership. It was just that it needs to be a fair exchange in what you do. You understand? And I'm artist first. So I think that the reason why it happened is because I live by a law. I feel that passion makes money. Money don't make passion. You know? And for me, I'm very passionate about the music, about the art. He's passionate. He's over the top. Don't let him fool you. He's an artist. So it's kind of like, it's no real words to describe when you're passionate about something and you know your purpose. So when you make the money, just put it in the closet. I'll get to it when I get to it. Because you ain't really thinking about the money. You understand? You thinking about, I'm going to make this joint pop off. That's all I'm concerned with, you know? But you don't want somebody taking advantage of you in the back. When you trusted them to do their part and go with the deal. And then that's when the lawyers and all the other tricky things start coming in. You didn't read paragraph number 5. And he be like, man, I thought we was good. We ain't good. You see what I mean? So it's a learning experience.
So you talked about your mom, and I know your mom, very important figure. Talk about what it was like growing up. What was it like growing up fresh?
Man, hey, look, I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and
where do you fall among them?
I'm next to the youngest.
Okay.
I got a younger brother who just think he can boss me around. but my brothers and sisters, we're all tight, you know, and I come from a family background, you know. In West Indian culture, family is very important. And black people's culture, period.
Right.
Family is important. You know, we go through things with family. We have our arguments, our disagreements. You know, but when Thanksgiving come around, which is family day for us, or, you know, it's something going on, we get into it, we throw it to the side, or we could argue with each other, but nobody else can do that. You understand? Like, I got a problem with him, but you can't mess with him. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like family for me is always important. That's why even the guys that's with me, you know, they've been with me since the beginning. I never changed the guys that I had. Never. You know, Barry B is still riding with me. You know? And me and Slick Rick still do shows. And it's an honor to have Hollywood on this cruise. And love Bud Starsky. And even Curtis Blow, because, I mean, you know, I said, you know you owe me a favor, Curtis. You know you owe me. Because he came on here for nothing.
Wow.
He just came because we family. And that's how you do. You know? At least that's how we do.
When you first hit it big, the show was really the first big thing, right?
Yeah, I had a record called Original Human Beatbox. That was the record that funded me in a way to make this show, because you know what happened, Stephen, is I went into the studio with another guy that I trusted, and I laid a rough vocal down, and he kept trying to tell me how to make the record, and it annoyed me. So I said, you want to make the record? So you make the record. And I just left out, but I never thought he would let out the demo vocal. And when he did, I was hanging out with my friends one night. We going to the fun house, hanging out. We cut on the radio, because you know the weekend hip hop show. Cutting on, I heard some go, I said, damn, he sound real from me. I said, yo, and then he started doing the beatbox. I said, yo, who is this? And then the rock came in and it was me. You know what I mean? And I said, I didn't even know that the guy let the record out. So I was upset about that, but then I got a call from an agent named Norby Walters, who was one of the first agents who was booking Motown and all, but this guy was a real booking agent. And I never had a booking agent. It was just people calling for shows. So when I got a call from this agent named Cara Lewis, she said, somebody wants you for a show, and they want to pay you $2,000. I said, really? I said, I really didn't like that this dude let this record out. But you know what? I ain't mad at him. I'm going to use this as gas to get where I need to go. So I just started getting booked with shows, and when I got booked, then I took that money and I put it towards making the records that I really wanted to make. And that's when I made the show. See how I thought about that? Yeah. I had to say, how can I, I didn't know this guy would have done this, you know? And when he did it, yeah, I said, well, you know what? They start calling up, booking agents, because the record was a street hit. See, when you make records, you got certain levels of hits. You got some records that rock in New York City, and they might have not rocked in North Carolina. But you'll do 10 shows in New York City because that record is hot. But then, if you got money, you could promote it in North Carolina, Chicago, DC, whatever. But this guy was a local record producer. So I only went as far as, say, the East Coast. I had Philly, Baltimore, New York, that whole run, Virginia. So I was doing shows all up and down there. And when I took that money, then I put it into what I really wanted to do.
So I imagine, you're young, you find a little success. Did your mom ever had to pull you back, like, Doug, what do you think you're doing? Did you ever get out there and get a little wild and your mom had to pull you back?
One time I was hanging out, I never said this either. One time I was hanging out with Slick Rick. Why you ask me this question?
I knew it would go somewhere good.
One time I was hanging out with Rick. Now, I don't drink at all. I don't smoke. I don't mess with nothing. I don't even eat meat. It's been like this for probably 30 years. You know, I mean, I still don't do it, but I mean, I started early, and it's been a thing that I would do. You know, so I would walk around. I was the guy on the tours that would walk around with water, the Deer Park jug, and they would be laughing at me because they were popping champagne bottles, and then they looking at, look at him, and then later on, friends of mine, everything, man, I should have thought about that water, man. So, but I never made them feel bad if that's your thing. You know what I mean? So one day, Slick Rick talked me into going up to this place called The Fever. And when we was up at The Fever, he said, man, look, man, every time you ask me to come out with you, I come out with you. We always have a good time. Your mother like me, my mother like you. We family. But why you never drink with me? I said, yo, man, I think better. He said, well, you ain't never do it, so why did you? He said, all right, so he got some old English, right? He said, let me show you something. said, let me show you something. So he took Old English and he took a Guinness Stout and he mixed them together and he called it a Black Gunji. Now my brother, my oldest brother was like, what? I do that, because he was a real, he get lit. So I said, all right, cool. So we standing outside the club, we passing it around, you drinking, because you can't walk in there with the bottle. Remember the Old English bottles, the big ones? I know somebody know what I'm talking about. So I'm up there, I'm drinking it, I'm trying to be down. So we getting ready to go in the club. All of a sudden, I'm like, I get up the steps, I'm in the club, I'm like, yo, man, honestly, I feel like I gotta throw up, man. This is crazy. So all of a sudden, he said, yo, you all right, you all right? So he take me downstairs, put me in the cab, he go to the payphone, call my mother. My mother's on the phone. My mother on the phone. He said, I'm sending him home. I'm sending him there right now. I'm putting him in the cab. And I said, yeah, man, you know this thing, man. Yeah, I see. Yeah, this drinking thing is real serious, man. But so he put me in the cab. I get to the cab. He told the cab where to take me. My mother's standing outside in the front and turn around, and I'm walking in there, and she looking at him. And I'm walking in the house, right, and I'm wobbling, and I'm all, going crazy. She said, oh, okay. So now you see what this really is now, right? You see what this is all about now, right? You understand now why you don't supposed to do this, right? And she grabbed me and took me in the back and laid me on the bed. Next thing you know, I'm waking up, my head is hurting, stomach is hurting, And she said, here, take a Alka-Seltzer or something. She said, here, I know what that's about. Here, you take this. And then after that, I said, you know what? I'm not gonna mess with that. So I had a very light lesson about knowing that I'm not gonna do nothing that is not good for me. I'm not gonna follow some kind of way that another person may operate because I'm different than that person. And it's no disrespect to the way they operate. I just didn't grow up like that. So I stick with the program. You see what I got right here, right?
Here it is.
And I learned that this is the recipe to life, Whether you like it or not, I think I'm not saying you can't have a little soda here, whatever you like to do, but this is the recipe to life, and I think a lot of us are dealing with a lot of sicknesses because we don't drink enough water.
That's right.
That's just my opinion, And I think that we need to start thinking about drinking more water.
I was just about to say that. Yeah. You did share the fountain you thank. Now,
Hey,
see
look.
no longer is he selfish. One of the most emotional moments I think I've ever had in my career was 2 years ago at the Hip Hop Awards. When you were a hip hop icon and was brought to the stage by the voice of your mother.
Right. Woo.
And if you could
You have
share,
no idea.
you could share a bit around that and what.
Well, it was very interesting because I was first happy that Steven and them wanted to give me that award because a lot of pioneers. See, I personally would love to give it to Hollywood, to people who just they laid it out. So when you're looking at it, you're going, yeah, you want this person to have it, that person to have it. So when I got the call, I was like, this is great. This is a great thing. And, it's like certain things happen for certain reasons. I had a picture in my phone, and thank God to technology. You know what I mean? It was a picture of my mother, and I had that in the phone. And then when I was making music, I was taking her around with me. So when I was taking her around, I recorded her. So when I recorded her, because we was playing around, my mother had Alzheimer's. So we was playing around, and I was keeping it rolling, keeping the energy rolling. So I had a recording that once again, Barry B had. See that Barry B pop up all the time, right? So he said he was going through something, and he said, hey man, did you hear this? And it was something that my mother said. But when she said it, it was kind of like, I didn't know why she said it at the time. And it was a recording that I never used. And I didn't even remember that I had it. So when I went to the house, I got it. And then when he was talking about me getting the award, I said, you know, it would be a good thing for me to be able to, like, you know what? I didn't even really think about it. I didn't even think about it. I just said, Steve, yo, I got a picture of my mother. I have a recording of my mother. Is it possible for me to use this? And the recording was crazy, man. Like the recording was like, you know, like sometimes you have something, but you don't even know why. And then later on, when everything plays out, now you see why. So it was like my mother knew what was going to happen. So when I used the recording and I had the picture, it was crazy. It was so crazy, B. I can't even begin to tell you. So when he did it, all of my emotions and everything was like,
Wow.
right, because when you're real,
Boom. Comes out.
She was a special woman. She was from the putting the money in the closet to line you down to conversations we had as we were coming up to that. It was clear that she was an incredibly special woman.
and when you're expressing yourself, and you don't put a filter on the expression, the emotion is intensified. So
It's all good. Let it out. Let it out.
so that night, and we're gonna finish it. 'Cause this is a part of the healing process. So I don't ever feel like what I'm expressing is wrong. Nor do I feel very sincere about it. And you gotta go through it.
Did you know that always that you had to go through it? Not something that, you know, I gotta get around it or over it. But to your point,
Nah, you gotta go
through
through
it, right?
And the funny thing is that whenever you think you got through it, you ain't through it. You ain't through it. You're like, you ain't through it. So what happens is that you get those moments where it hits you like bam. See, and you're connected to my moment. Like that moment for me, you're directly connected. I used to call Steven and just be, yo, what's up, Steve? How you doing? You know, and he'd be like, what's up? Say, yo, man, you spoke to your moms? Remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd be like, yo, you talked to your moms? You've been speaking to your mother? And this is before my mother passed. But I know guys like ourselves and most people, you get so busy that you don't take time to check in with your mom. Or you don't check in with your father. And when the time comes, which the time will come, you'll be sitting there saying, And now you got guilt.
No.
And that's not what you're supposed to have. And that's not healthy. And that kind of messes your life up because you run in on guilt. And it ain't about guilt. It's just that you were so focused on one thing so much that you never took the time out to focus on that person who was there with you. Day one. So, this disease, Alzheimer's, very interesting disease because I couldn't leave my mother alone. I bought a custom van to take my mother on tour with me. I took my mother to shows. She was on stage dancing, couldn't get off. One show, let me tell y'all this, one show, so y'all get the real. My mother was something else. One day, my mother, right, she would come out on the stage, I'm doing a show, guys that was working with me couldn't stop her. They knew it, because my mother was a strong West Indian woman, believe me. So check this out, they couldn't stop her. I was performing in Brooklyn, DMC was there, everybody. I'm on stage, my mother came out, crowd went crazy. My mother dancing, you know, all winding it up and everything, right? Out of nowhere, I turned around, so this was the second time she did it. So after that, she turned around, she took me, I said, Ma, that was great, that was great. And then she came over to the side, to the back, she said, look, we gotta have a conversation. She said, you know, I don't mind coming out with you. This is the truth. Listen to this. She said, I don't mind coming out with you. And I mean, you know, I don't mind helping you out with your shows. And I'm standing there like. She said, you listening? I said, yeah. She said, but the problem that I'm having is that I'm not getting paid. She said, now look, I'm not trying to hit you hard. I don't want a lot, but I need something. I turned around and I said, cause you know, cause this is one time she had Alzheimer's. You know, she was there, but she knew what she was doing. So I turned around and I said, you know what? I said, you know, you got a point, and you know what? You are right. You know what? So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make sure that I take your money and I put it to the side, and I got it for you. I'm sorry that I didn't give you the money when you got on stage. I didn't know that this was the agreement. I understand now. She said, that's all I'm saying. She said, that's all I'm saying. Now with Alzheimer's, a person remember, then they forget. So I turned around and I said, I got you, and I'm gonna give you that money. I said, Gerald, you hear this, right? He said, I'm going to get the money now. She said, that's what I'm talking about. Treat me like you want to be treated. I walked away, took her to McDonald's, got her apple pie. She was good. She ain't talking about money nowhere. Yo, let me tell you, when my mother had Alzheimer's, I turned it into a game. I just made it fun. Because you can stress yourself out arguing with them. You trying to convince them about something. You always mad because you say they ain't listening. So I started coming up with strategies on how to make her do something. So I know my grandmother had a lot of control over my mother. So I would be like, you know, like, so if I want to get her to go outside and she ain't want to go outside, I say, you know, grandma is outside. And she said, you better come outside now. And if you don't come out, I said, look, I'm just delivering the message. And if you don't come outside now, she's coming inside. And then she said, all she had to do was come in here and say it herself. All right, I'm coming out. So I started figuring it out. You see what I'm saying? I started trying to be strategic. And then it got to a point where it was just, it just became fun. And I never looked at her as being sick as much as I looked at her as just somebody that I'm having fun with. You know what I mean? Like, I reversed the way that I took the situation. And I think that when we deal with family, and if any of y'all are dealing with anybody in your family that they may say they senile, which most of the time a person that has B vitamin deficiency, they can have a memory loss. Or if a person has strokes, small strokes, it can cause memory loss. Right, or if you have a thyroid problem, it can actually cause memory loss, and they can think it's Alzheimer's, but it's not. So it's important for you to make sure that they get diagnosed properly, because the only way to really determine if a person got Alzheimer's is when they pass, and if you get an autopsy and then you see. Now in my family, my great-grandmother had it, and I didn't know that. But then they say she was senile, and she had it when she was in Barbados. Then my aunt had it, who died at 93. My other aunt had it, that died at 95. And then my grandmother, she passed, and she didn't really have it. But what I'm saying is that sometimes this thing, it can go through the women or the men. And I didn't even realize how many black people's families, or how many people are being affected with this disease. You know what I mean? So I know that this is not the conversation that we're supposed to have, but this is a family conversation. And I'm just sharing with you my experience, because as black people, we don't share experiences. We keep them closed. We keep them in the closet. We don't say nothing, and then later on, we trying to handle everything. Like, my brothers and sisters couldn't handle the situation, but they did not even want to be bothered with it. And then sometimes brothers and sisters say, see, I knew you was always selfish. You see what you did? You see that? I can't stand you. I hate, and then they stop talking. But you don't understand that sometimes they just can't handle it.
That's right.
So you mad at them for thinking that they can't handle it, but they just may not be built like that. They may not be able to deal with that reality. And out of all my brothers and sisters, I was the one who had to take it and pull it together. And my brothers and sisters all were against each other. They started having fights. I pulled them all together. I said, look, y'all don't know enough about this disease, and y'all don't understand what's going on. I said, if you can't handle it, it's okay. Do what you can, and it's okay. I said, but I want you to know that I'm not holding you accountable for this situation, because you really don't have nothing to do with it, and you don't know nothing about it. This hit everybody by surprise. So for me to be mad at you, running around making you wrong for something you didn't know nothing about, and you may not be able to handle it emotionally,
Talk about it.
that's not right.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So in your family, sometimes things happen, and you can't hold them accountable sometimes, because they may not be built like you.
That's true.
That's just my message to somebody that might be running into that. The creator kind of dropped the message through the artist at times when somebody might need to hear it. So I'm like that kind of person. I don't have no filter. I don't have no boss except God. You know what I mean? I've been working for myself since I was 15 years old, selling papers.
And how old are you now?
49.
Yeah.
Still on the ground.
So you talk about being on stage. You on stage. Your mom would come on stage.
She stole the show.
It was
too.
hard. Stole the show. Hard to get her off stage. All I gotta say is that means you came by it honestly. Tell you some stuff. I'm trying to, it's happened more than one place. I can't tell you where it was. I don't remember. But certain artists, one of my favorite artists of all time, jamming, just having a great show, brings Dougie Fresh on stage. Now, this artist traditionally doesn't particularly care for male artists at all, period, at all. But brought Doug on, so I'm like, okay, not used to having that energy, but let's see. Doug gets on stage, wows the crowd, and my man comes on, and finally like, all right, time to get on stage. Time to get on stage. Doug not moving off stage, because why? He learned it from his mama.
See, but he don't know. I really learned that from Prince. That's who's he talking about.
Prince is what I'm talking about. Doug will get on stage with Prince and steal Prince's show on more than one occasion.
Because he told me to. Let me tell you.
How did that hook up happen? How did you and Prince hook up?
See, we ain't got enough time to really tell y'all all these stories, because I know the time is ticking, but it's a very interesting thing when you let energy take its course. When you don't fight energy and you let it flow and it's clean and it's pure, it will do what it does. I'm telling you, that's just how it worked for me. Prince, I get a call, right? The first time I went up to Paisley Park when he did Emancipation. One of my lawyer was his lawyer. He said, Doug, Prince is doing his thing. He had Slave on his face. Y'all remember that? When he was just totally done. Because he went through what I jumped over, which was he wanted his masters.
That's a great way of putting it.
And he wanted his publishing. Come on, Prince don't have his masters or publishing. You crazy? Are you crazy? So what happened was, I was doing this thing called before the Tom Joyner Cruise. Quick story so y'all understand how this all connect. How many of y'all remember when Sinbad used to have Soul Beach? Aruba, right. So check this out. Soul Beach, Aruba. I go down there. I was dating this girl at the time, and we was breaking up. But she paid for them tickets to go to Soul Beach. So I didn't want to be that bad. So I went down to Soul Beach. Sinbad see me. Dougie, what you doing here? I can't believe, Sinbad energy is crazy. Everything's like, Sinbad, I want you to do something tonight. Sinbad, I don't have nothing. Okay, good. I'll see you tonight. All right, so I'm running around on the island of Aruba trying to find somebody where I could take a beat and sample it or something, because it's like close to maybe 10,000 people out here. This is Aruba, Soul Beach on HBO. So, long story short, I get there, I make the music, do the performance, and they wasn't supposed to film it. He just asked me to get up there and do something, kind of like the way I said with Curtis, but they was filming it, and I didn't know that. And then after they filmed it, they told him, yo man, you really need to look at this, and you need to put this on HBO, because this is crazy. Because they never had a hip-hop act. It was all funk. It was all Larry Graham and all that. But I came down there and everything changed. So I got on, they played it on HBO. Prince seen it, right? And when he seen it, he asked me to come into Atlanta because he wanted to talk to me. But before that, going back, prior, he had his album Emancipation. I went there. They was jamming on stage. Prince was playing a little. He was letting his album out. And then he did like this, right? Because Prince me and him got this kind of relationship that is crazy. He'll go, like he's talking to me while he's playing. He go, and I go, and the mic is over there. I'm like, I said, I took that as time for me to come out. So I go up there, and I'm getting into it, because he's playing something, and see, that's what I'm telling you. See, all the styles I learned as a kid, there's no audience, there's no age, there's no demographic, and no form of music that I can't find the energy. So he's playing something. While he's playing, so I jump on and I'm getting into it, and all of a sudden while we getting into it, then after that, we cut it because there's another artist going on. So after he finished, he looked at me, I looked at him like, oh yeah, man, that was kind of interesting. I looked at him like, yeah, that was interesting too. Because, and all of a sudden, so then he calls me later. Month later, yo man, can you come down to Atlanta? I said, all right, I'll come down. I go to his show. He sits down and tells me this. He coming in. Say, man, I seen you on Aruba, man, in Aruba. He said, is it really that crowded? Was it really rocking that hard? I said, oh, it was rocking hard, man. He turned around, because just when you didn't call him Prince, people would just call him, they would say, yo. They would say, yo, or they would say, they started saying, the artist. I said, I don't know what to call him. What should I call him? That's what it was. It was like a confusing situation. So he came in, he said, I would like for you to come and rock with us tonight at the after party. I already got a set here at the arena, but can you come through at the after party? I said, okay, I'm here to hang out with you, man, let's go. So he got on, went to the after party. I get there, I said, but look, I want to ask you something. How do you want me to do this? Because I don't want to get on and be greedy. I don't want to disrespect the program. I'm telling you, I'm telling you the story. He said, let me tell you, I want you to rock this joint. I said, okay, I got that. What level do you want this? Because he knows I'm for real. So I said, what level do you want this? He said, I want you to turn this. I said, that's what you want. He said, he took his glasses off. He said, I want you to turn this out. I said, no problem. He let me on, and Left Eye was alive that time. She was right on the side of the stage. And she was like, I can't believe he's here. I can't believe you here. I can't believe, oh my God. And Left Eye was just like blown. Because, Prince got this kind of, I mean, he is not of this planet. Straight up. Different vibe. All together. And I must be his cousin from that planet. Because I understand him so good. It's unbelievable. So I got on. And I did what he asked me to do. And when I did it, it was for real, right? We wasn't playing. So after it was over, the band, everybody went upstairs. Everybody was happy. And I was like, I'm getting ready to go. He said, no, come upstairs. So the band is sitting around in a circle just like this. He puts a chair right on the side. He sits there and goes like this, and he's looking at me going. And then he turned around and he looked at the band and go. So how about it? I said, how about what? He said, what y'all think? What y'all think? They said, oh yeah, him definitely. Him definitely. There's no question. Yes. And he's just going, yes. He says, how about it? I said, how about what, man? He said, do you want to be a part of the new power generation? I said, man, come on, man. Stop playing, man. I said, yeah, all right. I'm just jamming with y'all, like I'm looking at it like he's, because you don't know where the energy is coming from. You gotta feel it out. So I'm up there, he said, I'm asking you, do you want to be a part of the new power generation? I said, I'm always a part of some new power. Let's do it. And after I said, let's do it, I had my man with me, a guy, Grandmaster Cass, because he loved Prince. So I brought him because I know he did. I said, and I hit him, I started laughing, laughing like, I said, all right, so I'll see y'all later. I go home, I get a call back. The lawyer asked me, Prince want to know, do you want to come out with him? And he got 20 dates, and he want to know what you want, where you at, and are you ready to go now? Wow. I said, wow, for real, man? It's really like that? So then from there, that was the beginning of our relationship, and it never stopped. He calls me. Like when he did Essence Festival. Like, like me and Prince have a relationship that it is one that I cannot completely explain to people for them to fully understand it. He is a real good person, and he got a real good heart, and he's so passionate about the art and the music and the artists that we just fit together because it's the same thing. But he never would have thought that somebody in hip hop, he would feel like that with. And then I'm very spontaneous. You know, I can make things up on the fly. And anything he does, I can follow him because I can feel everything that he do. And I can calculate what he do before he do it. Because of it's some kind of special connection. So he calls me, or he would call me and say, all right, one day he said, we doing the Essence Festival. So he called me, said, he had some car pick me up, take me to one location. The place was full with smoke, so they said he didn't go in there. And he went to another location, so the car took me to some other location in a club, 2,000 people dancing inside. There's one little room. He's sitting in the room with a chair with a little coffee cup. A little cup. I mean, like an espresso cup, man. And he had some honey, and he was putting honey in. He put some honey in it, and it was like this. Nobody in the room, like this size room, one chair. Are you getting the visuals of this? I'm trying to get y'all the visuals. One chair in the room, one little cup. And I walk in the room, and I'm like, yo, what's up? He said, yo, sit down, man. We got to go through this, man. And then we started talking about the Essence Festival. And then that's when I brought in other artists, came in the room, and we started doing it. And then we started to talk about how he should do the Essence Festival. And I would give him my opinion and what I think. And he was humble enough to listen and to accept it and to apply it, and he appreciates, you know, whatever it is that I may say to him, because he knows it's very sincere, it's very genuine. It ain't got nothing, our relationship has nothing to do with money. You know what I mean? The money thing, me and him, sometimes I'll do something for him. I'll be like, I get that next month, 3 months from now, 5. Like, the money thing is nothing. It is strictly the art, the people, the energy, the culture, and his show at the Essence Festival. That's when we designed it. I told him, I said, yo, you need to be on stage. I need to be in the crowd. I want to put this crowd thing together. It's 80,000 people here. It's sold out. And I want them to face this way. And then by the time you come on, you'll turn this way, and then you hit them with everything. He said, you think so? I said, I know so. So he respects my no,
okay, because I got to put it in a completely different perspective, especially around this. Who considers himself a very large Prince fan? Anybody? Because I'm gonna go really deep on this. So Prince, at first, if you remember, rejected hip hop, just kind of outright rejected.
Completely
rejected it. 88, the year Love Sexy came out. He recorded an album called The Black Album. Right? On that's a song called Dead on It, which is the first place you'll ever hear Prince driving in my Thunderbird on the freeway. I turned on the radio to hear some music play. That's the first time he ever. First time he ever messed with rap on record, which didn't come out. But that's a whole other story. And then, if you remember, around Diamonds and Pearls, he had those 3 dudes. One of them was like Tony M. It was Tony M. So Tony M. But even that didn't work. Doug is the first energy of hip hop that Prince has consistently messed with for well over 10 years. It's well over 10 years.
Oh man,
20.
I did the 1999 remix with him.
Right, that's right. So to understand, like you know, if you all respect Prince as an artist, which I hope you do, or else I will see you out on the ocean. Like, after rejecting it and wanting to embrace it and not finding ways to embrace hip hop, Doug is what made Prince embrace the hip hop energy. That's how big that is.
And he would ask me questions. How's Rakim? What is he about? He would say, I would tell him about different artists. And when I tell him about different artists, he'd be like, yeah, so why did he do that? What made him do this? You know, and our relationship is just really, I mean, it's so genuine. There's nothing in it. There's no trickiness. There's no me wanting to get with you because of that. Like, I'm a real person. Like, I really do not care about the valence that a person gives me. I'm concerned with who you really are. Because I'm who I am all the time. So I don't put on a mask. It is what it is. So when I'm dealing with him, it's a freedom in us being able to talk about anything, anytime, anywhere. I mean, we would hang out, talk about music. This was the I give you this last piece about Prince, which is interesting. We would perform on tour, get on stage. First we would do a rehearsal for at least 2 hours. Okay? 2-hour rehearsal. Just before he get on. Then the band go change. Get themselves together, perform for 2 hours. Go, change clothes, hit the after party, rock for at least 3 hours. Then go home, back to the hotel, because that's home, y'all. Go back to the hotel, he'll put on the videotape, and we will watch the videotape and everything that went on while we talking about other things, spirituality, and watch, say, oh, you see that? You see what you did right there? Yo, what about this? And break the whole thing down, and then the next thing, we'll go on the next day, like music, at least 14 hours a day, at least. So the reason why he's like he is because there's nothing else that he does. Like, he is so into what he do that he breaks it down. When we doing a sound check, we'll be making up songs. He'll be like, you wrote that? Oh man, yo, do y'all got that? Like, it's a constant create. And I come from that. I learned that skill of just constant creating. So it's the same thing, like working with him, you know, Stevie Wonder, the same thing. You know, me and him, we play around, we always creating. You know, when we did that emancipation thing, it's like, it's certain artists, man, you know, that they just got that gift and they just want to make people lives happier. And Prince, Stevie Wonder, even Michael Jackson. I remember he came to Harlem, and I hung out with Michael Jackson for 6 hours in a room. Me and him in a room. Unreal. Did I ever tell you this story?
No.
All right, this 6 hours in a room. I get a call from Reverend from Al Sharpton. Dougie, we're doing something over at the Coalition on 125th Street. Can you come through? I said, yeah, okay. He said, Johnny Cochran's gonna be there. Londell, so-and-so, Michael, da-da-da-da-da. I said, okay, cool, I'll come through. You know, I'll support you. I said, who's Michael? He said, Michael Jackson. I said, you better, come on, man. He started laughing. He said, yo, it's going down at 1 o'clock. Can you be here? I said, I'm there. He said, yeah, man. He said, he want to meet you. You know, it's going to be nice. I'm like, really? In Harlem? Are you serious? So I said, okay. I get over there at 1 o'clock, right? I'm sitting in there. We all in the back. Johnny Cochran there, because I did events and he would run around, tell his wife, oh, you got to see this guy. You got to see this guy, because he wasn't into hip-hop either. But he got into hip-hop after I started doing these charity events with him. So there's somebody coming in and knock on the door. Boom, 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 boom. Michael Jackson will be here in 15 minutes. So, okay. All right, thank you. You know, we finished talking and everything. So, boom, 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 boom. Michael Jackson be here in 10 minutes. Why is he doing this? All right, cool. Yeah, man. Boom, 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 boom. Michael Jackson will be here in 5 minutes. Wow. Okay, cool. Talking. Boom, 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 boom. Michael Jackson will be here in the next 2 minutes. I'm like, why are they doing this? This is a true story. No lies in this. Boom, 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 boom. Michael Jackson is here. When he came in the room, everybody, Steve, they took it to the point that we he came in the room, he like, hey, how you doing? Dougie, hi, how you doing? I'm like, man, what's up, man? How you doing? He's running around, shaking everybody's hand, talking, having a good time. He sat down. We in this room, because this is when he had the Tommy Mottola situation. He in the room talking to me, started talking to me, saying, yo, yeah, man. Yeah, you in the hip hop and saying, how many kids you got? I said, I got 6 sons. I said, wow, my God. I said, how many you got? He said, I got 4. I said, that's a lot too. You know, they say he got 3. He told me 4. So after that, we in there talking.
You're trying to start something. Why are you trying to start something?
Michael Jackson has 4 kids. You heard it on the Soul Train Cruise. You heard it on the Soul Train Cruise.
He may consider someone his child.
There you go.
See,
Clean it up. Nice.
That's what it might mean. You can interpret it whatever way you want. But this is family, you understand? So long story short, we sitting there. He started talking. He said, Dougie, they mad at me. They mad at me and they want to get me. He said, they want to get me because I'm the only one that ever got them. He said, I'm the only one that ever got them. He said, I own my masters, I own my publishing, and I own the Beatles publishing.
There you go. That's the one. That's the one. That's the one.
He said, they mad at me and they doing everything they can to get me. He said, and you need to watch out because people be acting like they with you, but they really out to get you.
Yes. Wow.
I was like, damn. And then after that, he started talking to me and we went on the stage. We started having fun, laughing, you know, and I started telling people on the impact Michael Jackson had on the world of hip hop. And the world, I mean, obviously the world, but the world of hip hop. Then when I started talking to him, he pulled me to the side, Dougie, you're a prophet. You're a prophet, Dougie. You're a prophet. You know, and he started talking to me. We started laughing. And I never thought that, and there was other things we spoke about, but I never thought in my wildest imagination that I would have a relationship with this guy and sit in the room with him for 6 hours. And we would talk about everything from food to children to whatever. And the media always paint people as being a particular way. Michael Jackson, as I say with Prince, as I say with Stevie Wonder, or any other of our great artists, even James Brown, who I was honored to meet. Nobody's perfect, but their spirits are all good. You know what I mean? And we got to remember that, and we can't let the media and people make our family something that we could feel that they're not. You know, and that's just something that I'm sharing with you because I know sometimes you read this, you heard that, but sometimes there's powers that be that I think are trying to destroy or discredit people who have nothing but good intention. And Michael Jackson was a beautiful person. So that's the Michael Jackson story.
And if you want to hear Dougie Fresh's influence on Michael Jackson, just pull out your Dangerous album and listen to Who Is It. When you listen to Who Is It and you think it's percussion, you listen close, that is his voice trying to imitate Dougie Fresh on Who Is It, I guarantee you. All right, well, I think we have to wrap this up. I do want you to tell us about the people you are in love with, which mean your sons. You got 6 sons. Tell me about and some of them following your footsteps.
Hey, look. My sons, and even Steven here, me and Steven, my sons are like Steven's sons, but Steven had to discipline one of my sons.
We have to go into that.
No, I'm not going there. I'm just saying, but discipline him in a way that I actually appreciated it, and we got on the phone and talked about it, and I was telling him I didn't even know you know, but Steven is like my man here, you know what I mean? It's like we got a real good friendship and it's genuine, but my sons and raising young black men right now is the most unbelievable thing that you can ever do. So all the fathers out there that's doing your job, or even raising your nephew, your sister's son, this one who just is around the neighborhood, young black men at this moment need father figures far beyond you can imagine. And it's because a lot of them just want to get high. There's pills in the street and kids is popping pills. They drinking this stuff, I don't know if y'all up on it, it's called lean, which is cough syrup that's causing young kids to have heart attacks. So if you got a nephew, a grandson, and their eyes are too red or they acting a little too weird, you ask them, are they drinking lean? They'll be shocked that you know. You understand? Because this is what's going on. They taking the pills, they smoking the weed, and they drinking this stuff called the lean. And those three together are causing impact. So I'm fortunate enough to be on my sons. You know, I'm on them all the time. I talk to them. I communicate with them. I let them make certain decisions that I may not agree with. Like one decision that he made and I didn't even know about it. I wouldn't have agreed with it. I would have told him something different. And that's where Stephen came in and had to tell him something, which I think, being real with you, that I think the lesson that you put there was a good lesson, so that I couldn't have gave him that lesson as much as you did because he respect you. You see? So it's not just me, it's all of us collectively doing it. You see what I'm saying? And that's the way that we got to do it in our community. Because you know when you go home, you're going to hear something. It's your niece, it's your daughter, it's your daughter's friend. Who is she hanging with? What is she doing? How does she get her money? Why she always fly? Where she get that? You gotta look at what's going on now. You know, is this real or what? You understand what I'm saying? Not to make the cruise heavy. We ain't gonna make it heavy.
You're gonna be on enough stages while you're here to make it really light, trust me.
I'm gonna make it light, but it's just something to think about, because my sons, I'm telling you, man, it's when they say black man is an endangered species, I mean, there's never been a truer thing spoken, because things happen to them that don't happen to nobody else. So I just want to be there for them and all the young black men out there. You know, I don't know if you know, Obama got this thing called Am I My Brother's Keeper? So we got a plan to go to probably like maybe 10, 15 cities, call all of them out, get a panel together of all the rappers that you love, all the artists you like, and different people. You should come too, and to be there and talk to them and share some of these experiences, because they love us, they look up to us. So if we take a moment to share some of the things we went through, it will change the course of their life. I met a girl who I did something with on, you remember this thing, Summer Scope, Coca-Cola was doing a long time ago. And she was in Philadelphia, and then I went up to Essence, and I went and had a meeting up there. When I went there, I seen her there, and I didn't even know she got a job at Essence. And she's some executive at Essence, but I remember I used to talk to her. I used to mentor her. I used to give her information. And she worked at BET, then she went over there. And to me, it made me proud. You know, to see her go from Summer Scope. And I was going in there talking to the kids, and then from Summer Scope, you went to BET. Now you're over there at Essence. That's what we supposed to do. You understand?
Dude, he's a man of hip-hop, one of the originators, proud and great father, and you have a great kid. You know this. You know you have a great kid. A man who your idols like to hang out with, and also a man of exactly one beer in his entire life. Ladies and gentlemen, Dougie Fresh.
One. Thank you. Question, boy, I don't know. Get the ball.